Welcome to the Profit Share Mastery Podcast with your hosts, Linda and Press McKissick.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Profit Share Mastery Podcast, where we're talking about building wealth while changing lives. I'm Linda McKissick.
And I'm Press McKissick.
Hey, Press, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Linda?
Doing great. Just waiting for the 21st. How about you?
We love the 21st. It's our favorite day of the month.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So why don't you, we have a guest today to talk about this Profit Share, building wealth while changing lives. So why don't you introduce our guest and we'll get started.
All right. Well, we got the privilege to have the one and only Mr. Nick Avila on our call today. Nick has been my good friend for the last 29 years of our life, pretty much my entire life. And if you've been through our Profit Share Mastery course, then you know who Nick is. He is, we built a recruiting website, and he's for the last 3+ years has been focused on recruiting new agents into his downline. So Nick, how are you?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
So Nick, I want to start off by asking questions. You grew up around Press and our family. We talk about real estate all the time. We've sold real estate. We own real estate businesses. We, eventually got the Profit Share program and took advantage of that. What was it that made you, because most people get in and they just want to sell houses, right? You get your real estate license, just want to sell houses. What was it that made you want to do a different focus and focus more on like building wealth? Because I know you also do investment properties and things like that. So tell us kind of how did that come about, that decision come about?
Well, in the beginning, I did want to sell houses. Ever since middle school, high school, I wanted to grow up and be a real estate agent. So that's what I always thought that I wanted to do. So I don't think I just came out of the box choosing here's where I know my path is. It was more of a discovery process. And so when I started doing the traditional real estate route, I didn't like it. I wasn't very passionate about it. I think it's great. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I love real estate. I just didn't really like representing buyers and sellers that much. It really wasn't my passion. And so I kind of went a roundabout way, did some other stuff, worked for a home building company. And then thanks to you, I'm glad you were big in Profit Share. That kind of opened the door to me learning about it. And so I just kind of found certain niches, and then a lot through hanging out with Jim about learning about investments and stuff like that. So I just kind of found different niches in real estate that I was passionate about.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good point. So now a lot of times I hear people say, well, when I hear about how much money you guys make, which is somewhere around $1.5 million in Kelvin's Profit Share, sometimes that causes people to think, well, that I can't do that. That's too big or whatever. How come you didn't think that?
Well, I don't know, maybe just being naive. It's just kind of get going and do it. I don't really imagine I'm going to wake up, next year or something and make $1 million in Profit Share, but I think it's very probable to make $100,000 a year in Profit Share with, in a couple of years, something like that. So, I don't look at the big number. I just look at what's maybe more reasonable for me. And I'd be more than happy to earn over 100,000 passively through 5 or 6 years of work. I think that's pretty good. So that's very reasonable, I think. And so that that's really good with me.
So yeah. Nick, talk about what sparked the interest in Profit Share, because you were going down the route of you're working for the home builder, and then you kind of got into real estate investing. Mm-hmm. How did the Profit Share idea come to play, and then how did that unfold?
I think Profit Share is just another type of passive income, because I started getting interested in investing in real estate first. So I always wanted to just own a bunch of properties and flip properties, stuff like that. So that's passive income, and not the flipping, but the rental properties, passive income. And so Profit Share is another passive income. So I think it was mostly not specifically loving Profit Share, but more loving just making income passively. And that was just a unique opportunity that we had. It's all about finding a unique opportunity. And for some people, that's building a real estate team and business, and for other people, it's recruiting. And I think just where I was at, knowing you guys and then getting connected with Brent and just learning through people that were doing at a high level, I just had a unique opportunity. And when you find that, you have to run with it and do as much as you can with it.
Yeah. So talk about that. Talk about kind of what happened with Brent and that conversation we had with him, and then what we learned from that conversation and what we implemented.
So we were sitting in this room, a couple years back. We were looking at, starting a business, is because we are always entrepreneurs and trying to figure out what's our next business going to be.
We've had some good ones, by the way. I mean, we had a floaty business at one point.
That one really, I'm still sad about that.
We had a mistletoe business.
I went to go get materials from Walmart to make our prototype, and the product was there. So I really feel ripped off by Walmart. But it takes when you see a successful business, you don't see all the failures they had to find the right thing that worked. And so it takes a lot of tries. So this is maybe like number 5, 6, or 7 on business things that we've come up with, and so this one's working really well. But what were the question?
Just the conversation. I want to say real quick before we kind of move off of this. Sometimes I think in business you have to find the right partnership. Mm-hmm. And what's beautiful about, I think, what worked in us on our 7th or 8th or whatever try it was to put something together specifically on profit share, is I brought certain things to the table, and I think you brought certain things to the table, and together that allowed what you're about to share with everyone to be successful. But talk about Brent. Talk about, like, we had that call. What did we learn from that call? What was Brent doing?
So I think what you want to do whenever you have an idea, you want to go big on something, like if you want to build a real estate business, you're like, who is doing this at a high level that I can learn from? I mean, that's a lot of the coaching and Kel Williams and training is built around that. So we're like, we want to do recruiting. So who's the best in the company doing this? And it happened to be Brent. And so, they always say, don't reinvent the wheel. So we talk to him and say, hey, what are you doing? So it's interesting. I don't really ever claim to be super creative. I'll just say that I'm really good at copying what other people are doing and making that successful. Just copying success, basically. And so we found someone that was successful at recruiting, and then he was kind enough to not really hold anything back. He was like, if you want to do all the work to set up the system that I did, go for it. And just so happens we were willing to do that work, and so we did it. And then we were achieving similar success. Yeah,
it's interesting because I know Press and I teach in our profit share course that you can either decide to do new agents and decide to do existing agents, or a combination of both. So is it because you had the conversation with Brent and you saw a very clear path on how to do the new agents that you picked the new agents rather than existing, or have you?
Yeah, I think that was just kind of the opportunity that we had. Like for you, I mean, you do the top producer model, and I mean, that's like, you have that opportunity. Not everyone is valid to those people, but you are. And so, like I said, you want to kind of, wherever your unique opportunity is, kind of go big on that. And so, I don't think one is better than the other. It's just like, what kind of matches where you're at, and what can you do really well.
Yeah. At the end of the day, what are you going to commit to?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and didn't Brent tell you guys that he tells a lot of people how to do this and very few ever actually do it?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how things go.
Yeah. Probably the law of success, or 80-20 rule. So now with new agents, I know that there's a big percentage that get out of the business. How have you kept yourself motivated and not be deflated when people that are new get in and don't make it, or things like that? How do you work?
I don't really think about it. Like I don't look at my profit share statement every month and try to find out who left. A lot of things you can't control. And I know it's really easy to say, don't worry about what you can't control. I mean, we all know that, but I'm not perfect at that. But as far as recruiting goes, I really try not to worry about things I can't control. And I can't control what someone sells when they join, or if they leave, or what happens. So I can only control how many people I talk to and recruit and that kind of stuff. And so I just focus on what I can control and try not to, I don't like dwell on or think about the other stuff that I have no control over.
Yeah. Good point. So, Press, do you have any questions?
Well, I was just going to share with everyone. I think it's important to know Nick's kind of progression in this. And then Linda, what I think would be helpful is for us to kind of let Nick give an overview of what is Brent's process. What did we learn from Brent? And then what we went and implemented ourselves and kind of what that process looks like. But I just want to share so you know Nick's level of success in recruiting agents into the business over the last, it's really been a little over 3 years, but I like to use the 3 year as kind of the marker because his first year was kind of halfway through the year. So I think
that was, well, the first year was like before we had our website.
Right. And that was quite, you probably recruited that first like 6 months or so, 22 people.
Yeah, something like 20 people.
Okay. So the first full year of Nick recruiting, he recruited in 79 people into the company. That year, Nick made almost $9,000 in profit share, his first full year of recruiting. The second year, Nick recruited 99 people. You couldn't have gotten one more?
I should have.
99 people, and he made 16,000, a little over 16,000 that year in profit share. And then last year was his third year, and you recruited 133 people into the company, put him at number 2 for growth in the company for the entire year behind Brent, and you made 32,000 income as profit share.
Mm-hmm.
So you basically almost doubled every single year.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so for Linda, what I like to talk about around this is for everyone who thinks it's too late in profit share, look at Nick as proof. It's not too late. There are models out there in which anyone could go do and to grow their profit share in a really fast period of time.
Yeah, and Press, as you and I are seeing on our monthly calls with our membership group with the people who purchased our profit share course, they're already starting to see results. I mean, some people are doing it manually, and some people are, well, most of them I think are still doing it manual, and they're getting great results. You know what I think of when I look at this is probably most people Nick's age are getting out of college, and they're lucky if they even make $30,000 or $40,000 sometimes, and you're making that passively already your third year working on profit share. You know, at the current interest rates, I can't even imagine how much Nick would have had to go out and earn in a what they call a real job to put away in savings to earn that. He couldn't have done that. He couldn't have done that. None of us could have done. I mean, most of us couldn't have done that.
Yeah. And again, the beauty of our model at KW specifically is that, Nick's not having to handhold these people. Nick's job is to help connect them to the market center, and then the market center takes everything from there. So Nick is really leveraged in the fact that I think Nick views team leaders as we all should view team leaders, which is they are Nick's wealth determiner. Nick has, there's 830 market centers around the country. So Nick has 830 wealth determiners around the country that his job is just make connections. And then they take those people, get them in the system, and then help them get connected and plugged in and productive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's
a beautiful model.
So Nick, what do you think, what are some of the things you've learned along the way doing this? Because, like you said, there's ups and downs in anything, and you learn a lot from it. What have you learned what is something you wished you'd known before that you now know from doing this now for 3 years?
There's a lot of stuff. There's kind of more the general principles and then the specifics how to of recruiting. But I think maybe a little more general learning principles of as far as the ups and downs go, like being able to move on quickly. Because I've had a ton of people that I refer to the office and didn't put me as their sponsor for whatever reason. And so, people have different opinions on that. I don't really fight that too hard. I just try to just let it go. I don't really, I've got too many new people to recruit to mess with that and have that negativity going on. So I think being able to move on quickly from a failure or a mistake or whatever else, and then the ability to learn and grow from that. Because there's many months, probably every year, there's 1 or 2 months in the year I'm like, man, I feel like I'm not being able to recruit anybody. And I kind of go back, and it's usually I've gotten lazy and my scripts and how I follow up with people and stuff like that. And so I kind of, a couple times a year go back to the drawing board, like, okay, what are the basic things of success that I know are right that I've gotten lazy on, and go back. And it always, like, whenever I do that, I have less people that don't put me as a sponsor. Like I have a higher percentage of getting the sponsorship. I get more, like it always works out. So it's like, just stay consistent on the things, and like, don't let success kind of lull you a little bit, or get like overconfident, and stuff like that. Like keep doing what works, and keep doing it consistently.
Well, yes, because really what you're saying is don't get complacent.
Yeah.
Keep working the plan, because the plan is working. And I love that, Nick, because most people wouldn't be able to do that, because profit share is not something you can feel and touch so big right away. You have to have a lot of faith. Like when you were first doing this, you didn't know that you were going to make 9,000 your first year, and it was going to go to 16, and it was going to go to 32. You had to do it before you knew any of that to be facts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, luckily I knew that it worked, because obviously I saw how much you were making. So, I mean, I knew what was possible. But I didn't know what was possible for me. So I had to have kind of faith in that part of it.
Yeah. Interesting. So what would be the advice you, Press, or you, either one, that anybody out there, if they're thinking about, because Press and I, we're doing the best we can. We're putting a profit share course out there. We're holding monthly calls to help people move along with this process, and we're getting great success. And I'm super pumped about that. We had 2 or 3 people this call that we just finished up that are having great success, and they're getting excited about the formula and how to use it. What advice would you give people if they're thinking about profit share and making it part of their goals?
Well, I was just going to say real quick, we, specifically, we had one guy, Ryan, who since January, he's recruited on average 1 person a week.
Yeah.
So I think that was great. That's great success.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah. So what would you guys tell them if people are, they haven't focused on profit share, they get, maybe they hear something, they get excited, but then they fizzle out. What would you tell them? What would be your advice?
I mean, I think find a strategy or technique for you that works. Obviously, there's more than one way to recruit people, and there's lots of different types of agents to recruit. So find kind of what I was doing, like find the niche that works for you. And then you really just gotta do it consistently over time and just stay consistent with it. So, you don't have to do 5 different methods. You could find the one that works for you, that you like, and do that and do it again and again and again for several years.
Yeah, so true. That's good advice.
I'd just add to that. I'd say treat it like a job. I don't mean that it takes 40 hours of your week, but what I mean is you create a process around it. And so, like, I think about what Nick does, and he has uses a scheduler system, and every day people go in and they book themselves an appointment with Nick. And so Nick has those slots available, and they're open, and we just push traffic to it, and people sign up for those calls with Nick. And so Nick already has it blocked off in his schedule that he's going to have a certain amount of calls per day. And I was doing kind of a case study on it end of last year, just trying to see what we've learned over 3 years of doing this. And if you will, on average, have between 3 to 5 recruiting calls per day, you'll recruit over 100 people into the company. I think the math is pretty consistent on that from what Nick and I've studied off of what he's done the last 3 years. So if there's anything, I would say just like break it down to its simple form, treat it like a job, and have 3 to 5 calls a day.
That's great. That's great advice. That's awesome.
Linda, the last thing I would say here is, why don't we have Nick just kind of briefly walk through the process of what we've kind of built from you coming in until you have a conversation with them and refer them to a market center, just so people can kind of get a glimpse of like, man, how in the world can you recruit over 100 people a year into the company? Yeah.
So, I mean, our kind of workflow is we have a website, launchintorealestate.com. And so we drive traffic, like Press said, to that site. And it's primarily probably 99% through Indeed ads, or just kind of general job boards. So we pay money to post on there, and people apply, and we take them from there to our site. And then from there, they apply again on our site. And then we have a system called Infusionsoft, which don't ask me too much about that because I don't really know how that works, but
that's where my expertise comes in.
Yeah. So we have basically like a CRM,
email automation
system that basically once they apply on our site, that it kind of puts a form on that system that starts sending them like drip campaign emails based on how they've self-selected, whether they're licensed, not licensed, taking classes, whatever. We have different campaigns. So based on where they're at, I'll send them a link to my scheduling system. I use Acuity, and they'll book a call with me. And so I, like Press said, I look on my Acuity system, see who's booked a call with me, and then I give them a call. And so that's kind of where it starts, the formal like recruiting call, typically like 20 to 30 minutes, where I answer their questions, pre-qualify them, let them know the process of how this looks like to join Keller Williams. And then assuming they're qualified, if they haven't, this is just me personally, if they haven't taken their test yet, I wait until they've passed their exam. And so once someone's fully qualified, like they've passed their test, they're ready to go, I'll connect them with the nearest Keller Williams office, talk to the team leader or the assistant team leader, whoever is the one handling the recruiting there, make that handoff, and then kind of let them run with it, and hopefully they sign up.
Yeah. What's amazing?
The team leaders that are on our profit share mastery that have taken our course and are on our calls, they love Nick, don't they, Press?
Yeah, they do. Nick and Brent and a handful of others in the company who are doing this at the highest level. And like Linda, like you mentioned earlier, we go really deep on this specific topic in our course in module 3 and walk through our website, how we set it up, kind of unveil the curtain and show the back end. So for anyone who's interested in learning more specifically about that, that's a great resource for you to tap into on our profitsharemastery.com site.
So Press, how do they find that information and look into it to see if they're interested in signing up for the course?
Yeah, if you just go to profitsharemastery.com, then you can, right there on the site, you can walk through exactly how to join our program, and that'll tell you exactly what you need to know. And then specifically module 3 is around new and the system we're talking today. And then module 4 is around productive agents, which is Linda's expertise.
Yeah. And so you go through all your modules and then you jump on the very next call. We do calls once a month, answer all your questions. We had a lot of great questions today. We just finished our membership call. You jump in anywhere into the program. We'll help you answer questions, help you move along with any questions or things that are kind of holding you up, or any way we can help you to come up with ideas and things to keep building your profit share.
Yep. Awesome.
So Nick, I want to say thank you very much for sharing your expertise.
Yeah.
And, Press, appreciate you. And Press, I guess I'll talk to you next week. And then remember, if you haven't hit subscribe, be sure and hit subscribe. And also the greatest compliment you can give Press and I is to pass this podcast along. It will drop the 21st of every month. So if there's anybody in KW's system, anybody that's in your profit share tree already that you think you would love to help inspire around profit share, be sure and pass this podcast link along to anyone. We would certainly appreciate that. And Press, I'll see you next week. And Nick, I'll probably see you and have to feed you tonight, I'm sure.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah.